Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Hsieh, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Jason, founder of Lucky Kid and Toy Launch. And in today's training, we're going to do a special training about unlocking new opportunity and expanding your toy brand into Amazon Japan. Today's webinar will be explaining the opportunity behind Amazon Japan and talking about the steps that's required in order to expand into Amazon Japan. But before we get there, let me first talk about the goal. The goal is to provide actionable strategy for expanding your toy brand into the Japanese market. And we'll cover how to optimize Amazon Japan listing, leveraging PPC tools, exploring alternative marketplace like Rakuten and Yahoo Shopping, which is big in Japan, and how do you manage different aspects of getting into Amazon Japan marketplace. And you will also learn how to effectively navigate the Japanese e-commerce landscape and boost their brand success. And today's agenda, here are the few main that we'll be covering. First is exploring the opportunity in Amazon Japan. Second, we'll be talking about a few different marketing strategies in order to be successful in Amazon Japan. Third is to ensure compliance and also efficient logistics when it comes to expanding and launching your product and toys and games product into the Amazon Japan marketplaces. And fourth is how do you expand and also protect your brand in Amazon Japan. So we're going to talk step by step on exactly how to do that. Before we start, first, a little bit about me. For those of you that haven't watched any of the webinar training I have done in the past, my name is Jason Hsieh. I'm a founder of several different companies. I currently operate 2 different businesses and 1 foundation. I have a business called Lucky Kid, which is a toy design company. We design toys for kids with special needs, kids on the spectrums, autism, ADHD, and sensory processing disorders. And I also own a digital marketing agency called Toy Launch, which we do digital marketing for toys and games company. And I also operate a non-profit foundation called Sensory Inclusive Classroom Foundation, which we donate sensory toys in low-income school district and help them to create sensory room and countdown corners. And also the organizer for Phoenix Online Seller Group, which is just about 800 members currently in our meetup group. So those are the few different things I'm working on. And I'm also the host of Toy Business Unboxed podcast, which we interview all kind of different entrepreneurs, toy inventors, toy creators in the toy industry on our podcast. Now you know a little bit about me. Let me talk about where did everything started for me as an entrepreneur. To make the long story short, in 2013, my son was diagnosed with autism and ADHD while we were living in Japan. However, Japan, just like most majority of the Asian country, there's a huge taboo around disability, especially for invisible disability like autism and ADHD. And that's something my wife and I was struggling as far as finding help and support and resources and therapy for my son back then when he was 3. To give you a perfect example, as far as number-wise, even though we live in Tokyo, one of the largest metropolitan area in the world, we can only find 2 therapy centers to take our son to for a condition in the entire Tokyo metropolitan area. That was back in 2013. And so we decided to move to the United States in 2015. I used to live in the state in college. I graduated from UC Santa Barbara, so I'm familiar with the lifestyle and the opportunity here in U.S. However, for my wife, that was a big change. She didn't speak any English when we first moved here. So that was a lot of ask when I asked her to move back to U.S. with me. I think if we didn't find out about our son's diagnosis, I think we'll be still living in Japan. Personally, I prefer Japan as a country, which I will talk about during today's webinar as well. Japan is just a much safer country. There's no crazy people running around with guns and stuff like we have in the U.S. And also, as far as medical insurance, it's also a nationalized health insurance system, so it's a lot more affordable to receive healthcare in Japan. Talking about healthcare, that's actually one of the reasons why I started my first business is because when it comes to the medical insurance in the United States, it's one of the worst in any of the advanced country combined. It doesn't pay for a lot of therapy that we needed for our son back in 2015. For example, he needed speech therapy, occupational therapy, whole kind of different therapy. And each hour, it required $100 pay out of pocket that we simply couldn't afford. Even I used to work for a big corporation like Toshiba as their senior cost accountant. I was making low six-figure income annually, but it simply wasn't enough to pay for the medical expense because we were talking about $100 an hour. It required 15-hour week. And if you do the math, that's $6,000 a month of medical expense on top of the cost of living that we experience here in the United States, which is already insanely high below the that live in the US. And I started dabbling in 2016 on top of my day job. And I was thinking like, how can I make more income to support my son, my family with all his therapy? And in 2017, that's when I decided to start Lucky Kid, our in-house toys brand, which we design sensory product for kids like my son that have sensory issues, that's on the autism spectrum or with other sensory needs. So that's how it all started for me in 2017. I was able to grow the business over the year. And 3 years ago, I quit the day job and now I do the business full time. I guess I wasn't busy enough when I quit my day job. So I launched the second business when I quit the day job, which is the toy launch that we have as of today. A little bit about Toy Launch. We are not just a digital marketing company. We are also a partner in many different aspects, and we specialize for the toy industry because guess what? I also own a toy brand myself. I think I'm the only agency owner that both own a toy brand only and also do digital marketing for only toys company and also do international expansion for toy company. Like we are actually working with a few of our clients currently to help them to expand and grow to Amazon Japan. That's something that we can do here at Toy Launch that none of our competitors can really specialize like the way we do. We are also Klaviyo partner. We are Shopify partner. We are also Amazon Ads partner. We are also partner with Playbook, and we're a proud member of several different associations, including Astra, Women in Toys, and also United Inventors Association. There's three principles of our toy marketing system that I want to briefly talk about before we go into today's main topic on the webinar. First of all, when we work with any client of ours, we focus and specialize in conversion optimization. How can we make sure the product is really talking to the target audience? And this is something I will mention a little bit about Amazon Japan, because Japanese people have a different standard when it comes to buying and purchasing product. So when it comes to conversion optimization, in order to optimize for Japanese consumer, you need a different kind of Amazon listing for Amazon Japan compared to Amazon US. They think, oh, I can just use Google Translate and it'll be fine. That's not how you work if you want to be successful in the Japanese market. You need to understand exactly how does a Japanese consumer think and how do they make the buying decision. The second thing is also profit optimization. This is something we also work with our client really closely on. How can you make sure there's enough margin for your product for the platform you're selling on? And for Amazon Japan, in today's topic, the margin in Amazon Japan platform is going to be a little bit different because, of course, there's some additional costs that you need to consider by shipping it from your China's factory into the Amazon Japan market, which I will also talk about some pros and cons. One of the major advantages, now you don't need to wait 30 days for it to ship from China to LA port. You ship from China to Tokyo port because it is closer. Instead of 30 days, you can get it under a week. And we have partners that we work with that can facilitate the whole logistics from door to door. Our partner, Yonagate, can pick up your product at your factory, and then they will do the customer clearing. They will also act as your importer of record, which I will also talk about in today's webinar on what that means and what exactly are the steps involved. And they have two warehouses in Japan. They have one in Tokyo, one in Osaka. And I have met with their team and also their managers multiple times when I visited Japan. Actually, I just got back from Japan about 2 weeks ago. I was traveling quite intensively over the last few weeks. I was visiting 7 different cities in like a 14 days period. I went to Tokyo, Chiba, Okinawa, Japan. So I was in 3 cities. And then I visited Tijuana because I'm building a team down here in Tijuana. Then I went to San Diego. I went to Miami. Then I went back to Phoenix. And guess what? Now I'm back in Tijuana. Again, I'm at my office here in Tijuana doing the webinar with you guys. I'm sharing that is because internationally, doing business, shipping and logistics into Amazon Japan is going to be a different cost. The cost structure is going to be different. So when you're doing that evaluation on whether or not to expand into Amazon Japan, that's another thing you want to consider. The third thing is ongoing optimization. And this is a very important thing for any kind of platform. It's true for Amazon US. It's also true for Amazon Japan. Is to get that data back from the platform you're selling in, use the data and do ongoing optimization, test different images, test different bullet points, test different infographic, test different enhanced brand content. There's a lot of elements within the Amazon ecosystem that you can optimize on an ongoing basis to ensure you have the highest conversion rate. Next, I want to talk about 5 main reasons why you should start selling in Japan today, especially for those of you that's already doing fairly well for yourself in Amazon US. Let me talk about the 5 top reasons. Reason number 1, Japan is the 4th biggest Amazon marketplace in the world. This is a chart of the Amazon revenue by marketplaces in billions. As you can see, in US market, it's about 193 billion, following by Germany, which is 22 billion, followed by UK, which is 17 billion, and followed by Japan, which is 16 billion. And the reason why Japan is behind UK, I think it's mostly attributed to the currency rate right now, because the Japanese yen, this entire data is converted into USD or US dollar. So if the Japanese currency is stronger, Japan and UK is actually very similar size, but because of the currency right now, the Japan is number 4. There's a lot of opportunity for those of us that's currently selling in Amazon US or Amazon UK or Amazon EU, but haven't started expanding into Amazon Japan yet. The second reason is for the same amount of effort that you apply to sell in UK or Germany, you'll make a lot more money in Japan with less work, because there's no VAT in Japan. You don't need to go through the whole VAT process. I have a few clients I'm working with. The whole VAT process has been taking us almost 6 months, and we still haven't got approved by the UK government to get that VAT and all that stuff. It's a lot of paperwork that you need to do if you want to expand your toy brand into Amazon UK or European Union in general, because all the European countries require VAT, which is a value-added tax. The third reason, there is far less competition and also unsophisticated, weaker competition in Amazon Japan. This data is outdated. The chart I find is in 2019. I'm pretty sure the number gap is even bigger now. But if you look at United States, Amazon Marketplace active seller, there's about 1.1 million sellers in Amazon US, followed by UK, which is 281,000, followed by Germany, which is 244,000. Japan only have 173,000 active marketplace sellers, but it is the 4th largest marketplace. So if you just look at that math, that is a lot of opportunity, a lot less competition as well in Amazon Japan compared to other Amazon platforms internationally. And I think that's also attributed to a lot of people is scared of Japan. A lot of the companies just afraid because don't have a staff in their company that actually understand Japanese like we do here at Toy Launch. I speak Japanese fluently. I used to live in Japan for 5 years. My wife is Japanese, so I know quite a bit about the Japanese culture. And we also have a lot of business connections with different vendors and different partners that we can partner with to get our client launched successfully in Amazon Japan. The 4th reason is you don't need to register a company in Japan or be based in Japan to sell in Japan. However, you will need a Japanese importer of the record to handle the legality and meet all the custom and duty requirements. And that's something we can help with the company that use our services to help you launch in Japan if that's something of your interest. The 5th reason why that you want to sell in Japan, I briefly mentioned it earlier, is you don't need VAT or GST registration in Japan. That's one of the major advantages of selling your toys product, because you require a lot less paperwork. This really simplifies the process for the foreign seller to allow you to focusing on other critical aspects of your business expansion. Without the burden of VAT or GST's registration, you can really streamline your entry into the Japanese market. However, compliance is one of the things that is unique to Japan, and we have partners in Japan that we work with that can help you with compliance and make sure that whatever the product you're importing into Japan is meeting the Japanese government standard, the regulations. This makes Japan a very attractive marketplace for international sellers looking into expand their reach with minimum administrative hassle. So those are the 5 top reasons why you want to sell in Amazon Japan. Next, I want to talk about a step-by-step on how to sell on Amazon Japan. And that's quite a bit of a step involved. I will try to cover as much as I can. For those of you that require some help or you want to speak with me one-on-one, that's always going to be a way for you to schedule a time with me. Then I can walk you through the process, the step-by-step in further details. And I will also explain if you want us to help you to launch in Amazon Japan, what does that involve? What does it look like? What kind of research that my team can do for your brand before you're committed into considering or making that decision of expanding into Amazon Japan. Step number 1 is product market analysis. We need to make sure there is a product market fit by using Helium 10 and looking at the data. Oh, by the way, for those of you that use Helium 10, it is compatible with Amazon Japan. You can see some of the data. Of course, the keyword that you see will be in Japanese, so you need to understand Japanese a little bit, or you can use Google Translate in that case. But you want to look at the sales keyword volume with Helium 10 to see if there's enough volume for some of your top and your hero keyword. And then you want to navigate to amazon.co.jp and just start typing in the keyword and see what kind of result that you see. What is the level of competition? How many reviews they have? How optimized is their listing? Do they have the video? Do they have infographic? Do they have EBC? They take a look at the sophistication of your competition. You can use Helium 10 and see, okay, so this is my top competition for one of my toys. How much unit my competitor currently selling on Amazon right now? You can see all that data. You can do a reverse ASIN search to uncover the best selling ASIN in your market. You can also do some brand analytics to have insight. A lot of the brands I talk to when they're expanding into Amazon Japan, they won't be expanding their entire catalog into Japan. They'll pick and choose a few best sellers they think they'll do well in Japan and slowly expand from there. So part of the analysis that you could be doing is to do some competitive research. And you can also try to figure out why did they make that decision. And then you can take that information back to your own brand and look at your current catalog, look at current product that you have and think about, okay, so if I want to expand into Japan, this is probably the product I should be launching first. You also want to do more Google and also YouTube searches to see what kind of topic or what kind of content that has been created in your niche in Japanese. So you can also reach out to some of the Japanese influencer in your space and say, okay, I would like to send you some product. Can you do a product review for our companies in Japanese? So that way we can show more information to the Japanese consumer. That's another way for you to do additional product and market analysis. Step number 2, after you check the product market fit, is to make sure you check for product and packaging compliance. Like I mentioned earlier, the Japanese regulation and compliance is going to be different than US. Our partner Yonage, which is our partner that we always refer people to, will be checking your product for compliance. And there will be a very minimum fee. I think they only charge $30 per check to make sure the documents, the material that you're currently using, the paperwork that you have, is that compliance with the current Japanese regulation. If not, they will also tell you what are some of the additional testing that you need to provide to the Japanese government in order to import into Amazon Japan, and also help you establish any additional packaging regulation requirement for your product. If you have any kind of electronic, if you have any battery in your toys, there's some additional regulation requirement that Japanese government wants to see on your packaging. It also depends on the age group of the toys. If it's over, I believe it's over 8, the compliance is a little bit easier. If it's under 8, it gets harder. If the toys is for babies, like baby infant toys, those are really strict. They have a lot of restrictions for baby product, baby toys. The consideration is also going to be different. If it's a supplement, that's really hard for Japan because they ask a lot of questions for supplement if you want to import into. So those are the few things that you want to really think about when you come to Amazon Japan. The third thing is you need to find the importer of record that can act as your legal representative when you import into Japan. They will also help you calculate the duties. They will pay the duty on your behalf, and they will also submit all the compliance-related documents to the custom officer. And that's what Yonage does. Yonage, one of our green partners, that's also part of the service that they do. That's why we partner with them to hopefully take some of our clients and launch them in Japan and make sure they're also successful in the Amazon Japan marketplace. Step number 4, determine import tax and duty rate. You need to speak to an importer about import tax and duty for foreign seller, and also compliance documentation, and also try to optimize your import strategy. Like I mentioned, our partner Unicate will also be doing this particular aspect. They will try to answer all the questions and try to find out the most advantage code that you should be using when you import into Japan. If you import this particular product with this material, this is how much import tax duty rate that you'll be paying upon arrival at the port. And that's also very important when you come to profitability analysis and all the different analysis that you need to do for your business to make sure Amazon Japan will be a profitable marketplace for your toy company. Step 5 is to get product ready for Japan. Again, check for any possible Amazon Japan product and packaging requirements and make sure it's also compliant with Amazon itself. Of course, you need to comply with the Japanese government, the custom, and also compliant with Amazon Japan. Also make sure if you want to include any additional language in your insert or packaging and maybe translate some of it into Japanese, that's also a time to do so before you start importing. Or if you just want to slap a sticker on top of your current insert card or your current packaging with Japanese, you can also do that as well. There's different strategies to do it with like minimum amount of cost and still have that Japanese information in front of the Japanese consumer, because the majority of the Japanese consumer, they don't speak English really well and they don't really understand English. Japan is such an island country. They are protected. And even a lot of people is trying to learn English, but unfortunately the English level is just not there in Japan. Also, people don't really speak it well. They couldn't read it well neither. So that's another thing you want to consider when you're launching into Amazon Japan. Step number 6 is obviously you need to find a Japanese freight forwarder that can import your product from China or whichever country you're manufacturing at, and also calculate how long it takes, the shipping time, and the cost. You will also help you calculate the landing cost, so you know how much shipping cost per unit that you'll be paying. So when you're doing that profitability analysis by expanding into Amazon Japan, you know exactly what is your cost structure going to be looking. Step number 7 is decide on the domestic logistic within Japan. You can ship to a third-party logistic warehouse provider, or you can ship direct to Amazon FBA warehouse. Those are the 2 different options. Our partner Unicate can help support with both. They have warehouse, they also have freight forwarding services, and they can also import a record for your company as well. Step 8 is to set up a Japanese yen receiving bank account and make sure you have international payment and transfer and foreign exchange, all that set up. However, I'll say this step is option. You don't have to do it initially because you can just use Amazon. And because you have an Amazon US, you have Amazon Japan, and Amazon will actually do the exchange for you and convert all the funds into US dollar. The disadvantage of that is you cannot control when Amazon is going to do that currency conversion. Let's just say right now, US dollar to Japanese yen is 1 to 150. If yen, for whatever the reason, it go down even further, now it's 1 US dollar to 170 yen. You don't want to convert the money at the low point because you're making yen, but you're changing it back to USD. So one of the major advantages is by having a Japanese receiving bank account is you can hold the fund and do the foreign exchange and change it back to the US currency when you feel like the rate is where you want it. Whereas if you don't set this up, you're at Amazon's mercy because Amazon is just going to convert the fund whenever they do it. Once a month, they will just convert it on your behalf. So you lose a little bit of control on that. But this step is optional. If you don't want to do it yet initially, you can go ahead and skip it and set it up later once you launch and actually making more money in Amazon Japan, then you can consider to set this up later. Step number 9 is obviously setting up an Amazon Japan account. How do you sell in Amazon Japan without an account? So there's a few different steps that you need to do, including verifying your seller identity and also providing some of the document to the Amazon Japan team. And of course, you need to allow for Amazon customer service to get you approval and get you in and activated, and make sure you want to set up your listing so your international review is the global listing is synced up correctly. This is super critical when you're launching in Amazon Japan, because then you don't need to launch with 0 review. You can launch with 1,000 review or 2,000 review, however amount of review you have currently in US. if you set up the Amazon global listing correctly, those reviews going to show in other international marketplaces as an aggregate as well. And when you are still start getting review from Amazon Japan, those is going to show up in US and vice versa. So that's very important to get that global listing set up correct. Step number 10 is to set up brand registry and add Japan to your existing brand registry. You want to make sure your trademark is also uploaded to the Amazon Japan marketplace. You don't have to have a Japanese trademark, but it is always better to do so as a best business practice is to get a Japanese. If you currently have a US trademark, you can also get your trademark registered with the Japanese government entity as well, if that's something that you choose to do. So step 11 is to localize your listing. Translate your listing into Japanese with cultural context. Don't just use Google Translate and just translate directly. No Japanese people know what the heck you're talking about. It's very important to translate your listing into something the Japanese consumer can understand. And make sure your Japanese obviously need to be native, need to be fluent, so the Japanese consumer know what the product is about. And also make sure you do your keyword research and create images in Japanese and video in Japanese and conduct all the SEO optimization in Japanese correctly. And you want to confirm, like I mentioned earlier, your global review is being saved across international platforms. Step number 12 is to initialize the PPC setup. Usually, just like Amazon US, there's a couple of different things you want to consider when you're launching new advertising campaign on Amazon, including choosing the right tool, define your objective, do the keyword research and the selection for what is the top keyword that you'll be focusing majority of your advertising budget on, and create a very targeted campaign for Amazon Japan. Of course, you need to set up budget, do bid management, and also monitor your campaign and optimize your campaign, just like you do with Amazon US. You need to do that for Amazon Japan as well. Step number 13 is decide on a Japanese customer support. You want to hire a Japanese virtual assistant, or you can hire us. We can also provide that to do the customer support for you for Amazon Japan. So you have personalized support, and also you want to make sure when the Japanese customer is asking a question, you want to answer them not using Google Translate, but you can have someone that's actually fluent in Japanese to answer any of the response they might have. Agency like us, Toy Launch, and we can also provide that with you for the Japanese customers. And then you want to finalize your launch strategy by taking advantage of the honeymoon period, because the same honeymoon period also applies for Amazon Japan to maximize the initial visibilities and implement a targeted promotional campaign. You want to launch it with a global review, like I told you earlier. Make sure all the reviews being synced up correctly. Step 15 is you want to start ongoing PPC optimization. You can leverage PackView, which is the software we use for advanced campaign management, for automated bidding, budget allocation, for performance and analytics, etc. Or you can also use the Gideon 10, which is one of our partners, for keywords and ads optimization, to keyword research and management. Step number 16 is to conduct Amazon Japan specific deal marketing. This is something that's a little bit different in Amazon Japan that we don't have in Amazon US. I would say the promotional holiday is a little bit different. There's some specific Japan national holiday that you want to be aware of. They also do Prime Day, and they also do a Black Friday. So those are two identical holiday with US, but there's also some local holiday, Japan national holiday, that you want to be aware of. Depends on the type of toy that you want to sell and all that. And also the school start at a different season. So their back to school season is a little bit different than US. So you want to be aware of that and try to participate and create promotional campaign according to the Japanese holiday. One thing that's very unique, that's only available in Amazon Japan, is Amazon Japan have a point system. So the customer, when they buy from you, they can get point, and they can use the point to redeem product. This is very unique. Only Amazon Japan have it. All the other Amazon international marketplaces doesn't have this system. The reason behind why Amazon Japan is different is because when first Amazon started going into the Japan market, their biggest competitor, the local e-commerce company called Rakuten. And Rakuten is the biggest e-commerce giant in Japan. And they pretty much own majority of e-commerce share before Amazon come into the Japanese market. One of the very unique thing about the Rakuten e-commerce marketplaces is the customer can get points. So what essentially Amazon did is they copied the point system that their biggest competitor was doing in Japan, and they recreated it for Amazon Japan. That's why only Amazon Japan have this points and like the point campaign and all the different things you can do with the point. And right now, Amazon Japan and Rakuten, it's about, they split the market 50-50 almost. Amazon, since they got into the Japanese market, they have been really growing and they have been building FBA warehouses like they did in US. Amazon Japan is really growing as a marketplace. And so that's a lot of opportunity for those of us that sophisticated marketer that want to expand into Japan, that we can do it without too much competition right now in Amazon Japan. Step 17 is to have an external marketing strategy, because social media in Japan is very different than the social media marketing in US. One of the biggest social media platforms in Japan is a social media platform called Line, Line. Almost 90% of all population have a Line account, including my mother-in-law and my father-in-law in Japan. They all have a Line. And that is a very common thing. They use it for messaging each other, to share a picture with their grandkids, or for us to share a picture with them, a picture of my kids with their grandparent, which is their old Japanese. That's something they use on a daily basis. There's also some very unique feature when you have a Line business account that you can do by leveraging Line's targeted advertising and direct engagement. We can do a whole webinar about Line marketing. This is for more advanced sellers that really want to do external marketing through social media to push that traffic into Amazon or push that traffic to their Shopify store in Japan, or whichever they are seeing the customer. And this is a more of an advanced strategy. Then also you want to create engaging content. Like I give you the example in the very beginning, is to start identifying influencer, like Japanese influencer that's creating content related to the toy or the product you created, or like the influencer or the creator that's like making like product reviews or unboxing video for toys that's similar to yours. You want to start looking for those kind of influencer and start planning your external marketing campaign accordingly before you launch in Amazon Japan. And of course, you can also build a communities of the customer that really like your brand and try to establish brand loyalty over time. Step number 18 is to find opportunity for pre-sale season, which is different. And I mentioned it earlier, Japan holiday schedule is different. You need to understand the local holiday, the seasonal promotion, and even we do have Prime Day in Japan, that's same as Amazon Prime Day in US. And the Black Friday is also on the same day with US. So you need to understand some of those holidays for peak sales. So you can plan your promotion if you're going to do Prime deals or you're going to do special coupon during this day. You need to know exactly when are those days going to be happening. And of course, because of the time zone difference, the campaign is going to start earlier in Japan than US. So you also want to plan for that accordingly by looking at what time is it in Japan versus what time is it in US currently. Number 19 is to understand suspension and brand protection. You want to managing suspension, understand the Amazon policy, and respond promptly and professionally. Hopefully you don't get suspended with your Amazon Japan account, but you never know with Amazon nowadays. Sometimes they suspend you for some of the most ridiculous reason. And also you want to make sure you enroll your brand into brand registry and also monitor and report any kind of patent or trademark infringement in the Amazon Japan market. The good thing is you won't see a lot of those in Amazon Japan because, like I showed you earlier, there's not that many sellers in Amazon Japan. There's not a lot of competition, and the competition is just not as crazy as the United States. And there's a lot of sellers that they're willing to do really dirty and black hat tactics against you in US because the marketplace is so mature. So that's why you need to monitor and report infringement on a regular basis in Amazon US. But Amazon Japan, I feel it's just not, the level of the competition is just not there yet. Number 20 is to consider other marketplaces in Japan. Eventually, once you see some initial success with Amazon Japan, you feel like this is a marketplace you want to invest more time and energy into and expanding, then you can start looking into Rakuten. Like I say, they are Amazon's biggest competitor in Japan. Then Yahoo Shopping is there. It's not as big as Rakuten, but there's another marketplace you can potentially sell. Or you want to go into retail store, want to do wholesale, which is a little bit harder for Japan if you don't speak Japanese, obviously. If you don't want to go into retail or wholesale, you have to speak the language. That concludes today's webinar. I know I started the webinar late, so probably we don't have a lot of live viewers. But for those of you that's watching the replay, if you have any question over anything I share in today's webinar, just shoot us an email, comment on our YouTube messages, or just messages on social media with any of the questions. And then we'll also talk about the qualification process. If you are interested to expand into Amazon Japan, what our company will be doing for you is we'll do a few audits for you for free. We'll do an Amazon Japan competition audit. We'll also do an Amazon Japan profitability audit alongside with you. And then we'll talk about advertising. Most of you that are listening is probably not even in Japan yet. So obviously we won't be able to do an Amazon advertising audit yet because you're not running ads, you're not even selling there yet. But for the first two, we can do that for Amazon Japan. We can do a competition audit, and we can also do a profitability audit. And the third step is actually after we do those, we also need to do the compliance check simultaneously to make sure your product is compliant, because that's the most important step, is to make sure your product can be compliant. Otherwise, you can do all the work, then you couldn't even qualify for the compliance, and there's no way you can launch. Thank you so much for watching today's webinar about expanding your toy brand into Amazon Japan. If you're interested for us to help you to triple your sales and also help you with Amazon Japan expansion, please go to toylaunch.com/schedule, and you can have schedule one-on-one meeting with myself, which I will walk you through and I'll give you more information. We'll talk about your product. You can tell me a little bit about the product and the vision you have for your toy company. Then we can talk about whether or not your product have enough demand for you to launch in Japan and be successful. I'm more than happy to answer any questions and share some of the experience that we have been doing, helping other clients of ours expanding into Amazon Japan. So thank you so much for attending today's webinar, and I'm sorry again for being late with the technical challenges earlier. Make sure we have a better internet situation here in the Tijuana office. But thank you so much for attending and watching the replay, and I will talk to you soon next month for a different toy marketing tip. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
You've been listening to Toy Business Unboxed, hosted by Jason Hsieh. Thank you for joining us in exploring the fascinating world of toys and the ingenuity behind them. To stay updated with the latest episodes and continue your journey into the toy business, remember to subscribe and follow us. If you found today's episode insightful, please leave a rating and review and share this podcast with others who share your passion for toys. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating.